There's a lot of things on my mind right now. There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on in Washington. There's a lot going on campus. There's a lot going on in the broader context of university life and higher education. But what's also on my mind is that summertime, that the end of the academic year with graduation came just a month or so ago. But in academic medicine, the year sort of never slows down. At the end of June, early July, we'll welcome new interns, residents, and fellows to our midst. It's always an exciting time of year. It's a busy time of year with new trainees appearing on campus, and a lot of attention has to be paid to those early weeks and months of new doctors working in our clinics, in the hospitals, in the operating room and procedure rooms. So that's always on my mind in the summertime. But I think summertime's also a good time to reflect and to make sure that all of us are taking care of ourselves. Make sure you're taking some vacation. Make sure you're taking some time off. Make sure that you're spending time with families and friends and trying to recharge, re-energize. Sometimes in the heat that can be hard to do, but do take some time. The days are going to be beautiful. They'll be long, and plenty of work to do that will await us in September. So take some time this summer, enjoy friends, enjoy family, enjoy outdoor activities. Make sure you stay well hydrated if you enjoy those outdoor activities. But yeah, that's what's on my mind right now. Why do early career physician scientists need more support now? Well, let's first define what it is as a physician scientist. These are our physicians who have had additional training in science, most typified by having both an MD and a PhD, who want to spend a lot of their time doing science, but remain grounded in clinical medicine and the clinical questions that they see in their clinical practice. Historically, these are long training programs. To get an MD PhD requires anywhere from about 7 to 10 years. Then they have to go on and do internships and fellowships. So there's a lot of education, a lot of training in order to produce a physician scientist. The physician scientists in the country used to number about 5% of the physician workforce. Now they represent about 2% of the physician workforce. So we're clearly seeing a demise. And this is important for all of us to be thinking about, because this is the group from which a lot of great science that directly affects human health really come from. Why is it that they need support? The training programs are long. The clinical demands are such that the typical physician scientist who previously might spend 20%, 25% of their time doing clinical work, sometimes are called upon to spend even more time doing clinical work to support their salaries until they get enough grant support that they can balance these two things, the physician part of their salary and the scientist part of their salary. One of the things that we're really pushing for here at Weill Cornell is providing that early support as they come out of their training programs and join a faculty, to provide 2, 3, 4 years of support while they work on their applications for their first set of grants. We think this is critically important here at Weill Cornell, and it really is a priority for us. What skills do I think physicians need to have that perhaps were less emphasized in the past? I'm going to give you two, not necessarily because they were less emphasized, but they need to be even more emphasized today. The first comes from this notion that I've promoted for several years now, that medicine is a data science. We think about medicine as a biologic science with physiology, anatomy, and people who come to medicine tend to be thinkers from a biological mindset. But if we're going to be able to use the data that's available, and if we're going to be able to understand things like advanced computation, including artificial intelligence, we now not only have to ask our physicians to be biologists, but biologists who understand computation. And we're going to have to spend more time in medical schools and in training programs really trying to get across to physicians the importance of statistics, epidemiology, some of the basics of things like machine learning, artificial intelligence, They don't necessarily have to do all of these things themselves, but they have to be facile in understanding them so that they can interact with colleagues who perhaps are making discoveries using advanced computation and the data sciences. The second, which might seem a little funny now that I've just spoken about the importance of analytics and computation, the second is communication skills. We've always valued the physician who has great communication skills. I think communication skills are even more important today. We are in an era of distrust in medicine. We're in an era of misinformation, disinformation. We need our physicians to be able to communicate to the public broadly. We need the trusted voices of physicians communicating with their communities. And we certainly need even better communication skills one-on-one with our patients and their families. So there's two things: a better understanding of data science and a better communication skill set. OMB recently put out proposed rules that would really govern how science funding is done through the federal government. These are important for everybody in a university setting, everybody who cares about scientific research, in the industry, in the community writ large, to really pay attention to. This is potentially really disruptive changes to the scientific ecosystem. There is no question that scientific funding mechanisms need some reform. The question is, do they need this kind of reform? And I would say the answer is no. There's two things that I think the community should be aware of, and certainly at Cornell University and Weill Cornell Medicine, we will be responding during this open period of reading and commentary that's been published on the web by OMB. Number one, scientific peer review has always been a hallmark of great scientific granting. That means that your scientific peers review your grants, and it's the most meritorious amongst those reviews that get the funding. And the decision really rests on that scientific review by peer reviewers. What the OMB rules propose is that peer review will be done, but it is not where the decisions will be made. The decisions will be made by political appointees. This is a bad idea. We need independence. We need people with scientific rigor and expertise. We don't need political appointees who will change periodically to be making the final scientific decisions. Should society be aligned with a group of priorities to move science forward? Well, sure, there's nothing wrong with considering the priorities of society to move things forward. That's what we're here to do. Take care of the science required to answer important questions, for example, in human health. But we will not benefit from political appointees being the final decision maker. The second is there is now a proposal that grants can be terminated at any time. This is bad for science, bad for planning. And this gets to the earlier point about political appointees. If things change every couple of years and grants are in danger of being terminated because of a new set of political priorities, what's happened to the couple of years of work that's already been done that comes to an early termination? It's been wasted, and that is not a good use of federal dollars. I wouldn't say that they concern me. I would say that there are some differences that I would like to point out. The push towards a 3-year medical program is really to answer the country's need for more physicians. In a 3-year accelerated program with an emphasis on the clinical skill set, getting someone ready for internship and residency, that is a way to accelerate the numbers of doctors that are created in this country, which clearly we need. My issue is that while the 3-year medical school curriculums may provide a competent medical education, they don't provide access to everything that a career in medicine might require. For example, they don't provide enough time to do certain electives where you might find a specialty that is particularly appealing for you. They don't provide the time to take an extra year, sometimes even 2 or 3 years, to be able to do advanced research, to really try to understand, is a career as a clinician researcher, is a career as a physician scientist something that is of value to you? For people who are serious about medical education, it may require an extra year or two devoted to learning the skills of a teacher and an educator to be able to pass those along to the next generation. So I wouldn't say the 3 year schools concern me. I would say the 3 year schools are an important addition to medical school education, but they're not for every school. I think a lot of schools, particularly those of us that are interested in training the next generation of academics, a 4, 5, even 6 year medical school stay is often required. And that allows students to explore a variety of different pathways that might give them great joy in the years ahead. Joe Safdie, our Senior Associate Dean of Education, and I actually have a letter in press addressing this very topic. So stay tuned for that. We'll post it when it comes out.